This whole story would go back to the end of the Tournament of Power. But there would be a big difference, because this time Universe 7 would be the loser of the final battle. This, unfortunately, would mean that Goku and the others would have to be wiped out of existence. However, Zeno Sama did not feel entirely comfortable with that decision, because he liked Goku very much and considered him as a friend. But on the other hand, he had to respect his decision as king of the whole, and respect the rules of the Tournament of Power. That's why he came up with a better idea, which was to have Goku reborn, so that he could change the destiny of his universe when the Tournament of Power came again. Very well, the time has come for the final judgment. Universe 7 will be eliminated at this moment. Once the High Priest had said that, the two Zeno Samas would raise their hands in order to erase the universe completely. The members of Universe 7 would be watching as their end approached, accepting their fate as the warriors they were. So long, Goku. I'm sure we'll see each other again. Those words had confused Goku a little, as he did not quite understand what Zeno Sama was trying to tell him. But he wouldn't have time to ask, because after what Zeno Sama had said, he would finally unleash his power, making every member of Universe 7 disappear. Although, he had actually sent Goku back to the beginning of his story, so that he would be reborn, and have a second chance to better prepare his universe this time. In that way, the warrior known as Son Goku would be reborn in the flames, having a new opportunity to prepare for what was to come. But this time, there would be a big difference, as his powers would also be restored along with his memories. However, despite being reborn, he would not become conscious until the moment he was sent into space by his parents. At first, everything was silent, but little by little, he would begin to open his eyes to see around him. He would realize that he was in a ship, which was taking him to Earth, just as it had happened in the original story. This was because he had been sent to the instant that the events of the end of his race were taking place. That is, the last battle of his father. Bardock at that moment was defending the planet with all his remaining strength, as he did not plan to fall without opposing the tyrant of the fraternity. However, he would end up falling once again in battle, since he had not been able to fight against the great power of Frieza. But at least he could live with the idea that his children had managed to survive, which would give him some joy before his death. And in that way, the planet of the Saiyans would once again be destroyed, generating a great ripple in space. Meanwhile, Goku would find himself processing everything that was happening, since he still didn't understand why he was on the ship. He was supposed to have disappeared during the Tournament of Power. But besides that, he also didn't understand why he felt the same powers in his body, even though he was small again. What does it all mean? Why am I in this state? The only thing that Goku could think of at that moment were the words of Zeno Sama, since he had told him that they would see each other again, which was impossible, since he was supposed to disappear from existence. Because of all that, Goku could only come to one conclusion about what was going on. Zeno Sama had returned him back to the past. It can't be! Did he really send me back? Is this what Zeno Sama meant when he said those last words to me? Goku wondered as he processed what it all meant. If Zeno Sama did that, maybe it's because he wanted to give me another chance. But why did he only send me back? I have a lot of doubts, and I'm not really that much of a thinker. This is confusing me a lot. Goku was a little bit overwhelmed by the doubts he had, because he didn't understand several things about the situation. For the moment, he could only see how the ship was still traveling through space, which was quite familiar to him. So, that means that I'm on the ship I came to Earth with. How interesting. I didn't remember that as an adult. At this moment, I don't think I can count on my friends, much less the gods, because at this time, we didn't even know of their existence, and I doubt they would even agree to help me. I guess I'm on my own for now. I just have to keep going until I get to the Tournament of Power. Even though I have my powers with me, I shouldn't release them all at once. I should get used to my new body before I do something like this. While Goku was thinking about what he had just said, he also realized that with his current strength, he could change several things about the battles he would have, which could change the story we know. I think fighting with my current strength is fine, as long as it doesn't interfere too much with some things, since I wouldn't want to cause a disaster like when Trunks traveled to the past. Well, I guess I'll think about that later. For now, I must get to Earth. On the one hand, Goku felt a lot of uncertainty about what was ahead of him and how he should handle it. But there was one thing that made him glad about all this, and that was he would be able to see his grandfather again, who had been in charge of raising him since he arrived on Earth. After all these thoughts, Goku was ready to rest in the ship, waiting quietly for the ship to take him to Earth. A few days had already passed, and the ship would be quite close to reaching its destination, so Goku would start to wake up from the turbulence of the landing. It didn't take long for him to crash into the Earth, where he would be found by his grandfather Gohan, just as it had happened originally. Goku didn't hesitate to hug him as soon as he could get out of the ship, being quite happy to see him again. Grandpa Gohan didn't expect such a reaction from that unknown boy, but to tell the truth, he liked his attitude. Wow, what a nice boy. Grandpa Gohan would notice that Goku had a tail, which indicated that he was not quite normal. Since there was no one in the mountain, he decided to adopt him in order to raise him as his own son. In all of this, Goku couldn't help but remember something important at that moment, and that was that he had originally killed his grandfather when he transformed that night. That was something he couldn't let happen, since he really appreciated his grandfather's company. I wonder if it'll be okay if I changed an event like that. If Zeno Sama made me reborn, I don't think it's just to repeat my story. I'm sure he wanted more than that. Goku thought to himself as he stood beside his grandfather. Soon after, Gohan would take Goku to his home in order to show him where he would live from now on. From this point on, Goku would be taken to his grandfather Gohan, who would also be in charge of training him again. Because Goku possessed all the powers he had obtained until the Tournament of Power, he would stand out a lot during the training with grandfather Gohan, who would be amazed by the great potential he had. Although Grandpa's training was not so much for Goku, it helped his body get used to the power of his transformations, since after all, he had just been reborn. In just a few months of training, he would be able to unleash the full power of his Super Saiyan forms, something that would only surprise his grandfather Gohan even more. It was truly incredible that someone so young could have so much power, and for that reason, his grandfather was proud to be able to continue instructing little Goku, and to see what else he would be capable of. To tell the truth, Goku was quite happy to be able to show this to his grandfather, since due to his death, he had not been able to show him how far he could go. The months would continue to pass, and during that time, the transformations were not the only thing that Goku put into practice, but he had also done the same with his techniques in order to see if he still had mastered everything he had learned. And as expected, he was able to make use of all his skills without losing any kind of advantage. But he wasn't just using the time to test his strength, he was using the time to master the skills he needed. Among all that, there was the Ultra Instinct, a state he had not been able to awaken since that Tournament of Power. He was sure that if he could master it, the outcome of that tournament could be different, and they could take the victory again. For that reason, he would ask Grandpa Gohan to help him train his mind more, since after all, he still had more experience than Goku. It should be noted that Goku had not yet confessed to him about his rebirth, since he did not know how to tell his grandfather about it. Anyway, he would agree to help Goku, since the more time passed, the more he grew fond of him. Although, when it came to training, his grandfather would be very demanding with Goku, as long as he had the best performance and discipline, since he didn't want him to be confident just because he was powerful. That way, Goku would spend his time training the state of Ultra Instinct with his grandfather, at least until he was 12 years old. During that time, he had achieved a better command of that state, although he had not yet fully mastered it, but at least he could manifest the incomplete form. But the most important thing was that he had avoided the death of his grandfather, since this time he had not transformed into his giant monkey form. Right now, Goku was the same age he started his adventure years ago, so he was ready for what was to come. On one of those days, while Goku was carrying a big fish home, he would end up meeting Bulma, just like in the original story. This time, he would have no problem stopping Bulma's car, as his strength was far superior to what he had originally. She would be surprised by the strength he had. She had never seen anything like it before. Goku was happy to see his friend again, because to tell the truth, he sometimes thought about his comrades, hoping to meet them again. "You come from the city, right?" Goku asked while looking at Bulma. "That's right, I was just passing by, but I didn't expect a kid to destroy my car." "Well, while you're deciding what you're going to do, maybe you can accompany me to my home to eat this big fish," said Goku while looking hungry. "I guess that would be no problem. That way it gives me time to rest from the big trip." Once they had finished talking, Goku would take Bulma to his home, where they would meet his grandfather, who was taking care of the 4-star sphere. Bulma would turn her attention to the Dragon Sphere, being surprised that it was in a place like that. "I didn't think I would end up coming across another one of the magical spheres in this place. How convenient." "Do you even know what those spheres are capable of?" asked Grandpa Gohan as he looked at Bulma. "Of course I do. That's why I was looking for them during this trip. Tell me, wouldn't you be interested in collecting the Dragon Spheres?" Grandpa Gohan would give some thought to what Bulma had proposed, but would end up rejecting the offer. "The truth is, there's nothing I want from the spheres, so it's of no interest to me. But since it seems like a dangerous journey, Goku could accompany you. After all, he could learn various things about the world if he sets out." "Sure, I have no problem with that. I could sure use someone to protect me from those mountain creatures. I'll take care of everything, don't worry." With that said, Grandfather Gohan would give the 4-star sphere to Goku, as long as he would take it with him on the trip. "Try to be careful, and remember everything I taught you." "Of course I do. Don't worry, Grandpa," said Goku, quite excited. Grandpa would say goodbye to Goku, hoping to see him again when he finished his journey. That way, Goku would embark again on his first adventure, and he was eager to move on to meet the rest of his companions and prepare for what was to come in the future.